Hello, Attactioneers. Welcome to the Attack Action Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Morrow.
And I'm your host, Colin Honigman. How's it going, Taylor?
Great, Colin.
What was that? A new foe has appeared. Entering the arena as a new co-host, it's Zayne Johnson.
He's so hot. Oh my god.
Oh my god, you thought it was just one new host. A second foe has appeared. It's your other new host, Blake Meier.
I'm the one singing. Bigger. I'm so right now.
Dude, my voice hurts now, so I'm going to go ahead and just join you guys for next time.
And that suffice that to say, we welcome our new co-host officially, even though they've already been here for a minute. Zayne, Blake, welcome to the team. We're excited to have you. What's up?
We passed our
Just
trial
another
run.
Thursday, you know? Just killing it every day. Working from
we had
home.
the 30-day return policy, and we did not activate it, so we're feeling good about our purchase.
Hey, go ahead and send that microphone back so I can send it to another bag.
Well, we also got a year-long insurance policy on both of you, too. So for some reason you break or something,
I'm taking out life insurance on both of you. So
I did dislocate something earlier today, so got a
Blake,
UCLA
please.
health employee.
Wear shoes in the house and stretch daily.
It was in my bed. This is some old OMS stuff.
Hell yeah, Blake. Way to pull something in bed. Good boy. Good job. What a life you live.
Ba-da-da, da-da-da, da.
Anyway, congratulations. Welcome. Really excited to have both of you.
We beat out like 6,000 other people that applied, or how many?
Yeah, it was a national, triple bid contest where, just so many people clamoring, literally just coming into my home and asking me to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was
we had to hire 4 interns.
Damn. Take
You
that,
were going
the
into
Orc Knight
schools.
77.
They're also named Blake and Zayne, but don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't. We gave them those names because we didn't want to remember new ones,
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
yeah. Hi guys, thanks for coming. Blake, would you like to say anything about yourself that the people should know? Who are you? Where do you come from?
Are you a capital G gamer?
And
Lowercase
who's your favorite
G
hero?
gamer?
I think we'll do a quick Blake as a person and then Blake as a flesh and blood player is what I saw. So I think, born in Texas, moved to Los Angeles as soon as possible. Went to Austin in between my hometown and LA. So that was a pretty cool college experience. Was going to be a pharmacist. That was not going to work out. 1.67 GPA my first semester of college. We got to figure out what to care about. What can I talk about more than anything in the world? That is reality TV. It's also kind of board games, but they don't have board game degrees at the University of Texas. So I did radio, television, and film. Been living in Los Angeles since 2012. Been working in reality TV since 2012. And do reality TV casting. So if you're ever like, who finds the wackadoos that get last place on Survivor, that's Blake. What is the other thing we're talking about? Flesh and blood wise, I started playing. I was one of the people that got let's refresh TCG player bundle of getting a Monarch First Edition box whenever it was coming out in that April. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but my friend who I played Pokemon with was like, let's play this new game. He's somebody that's probably put $100,000 into the collection side, but that's not me, but he needs someone to play with. So I got that Monarch box, got a Cold Foil Valiant Dynamo in my first box, got a cross wrap in my first box of the Arcane Rising. This is pretty cool. What I really loved about Flesh and Blood and what it did for me during pandemic was oh, I can talk to 60 people that I wouldn't know otherwise because I've been dying from working from home. I like talking to people. I like meeting people. The idea of, well, I have my husband, my dog, and my whole life at home. Why would I ever get in my car and drive away is just not a thing for me because I live with a roommate. And so I like getting out of my house. I like talking to people. You don't do that with work anymore. I needed a hobby to meet 60 to 100 to now 200 people from all around California and my extended universe. Got the Tunic. That's when I could play Rhinar. That was as soon as Crucible came out. That's why I love Crucible, because I opened the Tunic there. Playing Rhinar for a solid 2 years is equal parts very fun and very frustrating, but that's the hero that is the most, feels like my both playstyle, personality, and everything fits with that, because I love equal parts card games that I've played in my life. I love comboing people out, and I love milling people. And it feels like Rhinar's the combo, and I keep waiting for like an actual mill deck. And Arachne's maybe 2 cards away from that. If Arachne got Miller's Grindstone, I play that deck completely. So that's that layer of, I'm going to be very angry about brute cards because I've put in 2 full years and know the percentage points that everyone thinks we're going to get from these cards probably aren't as true because I have put in 2 years on them.
Excellent. Love that.
I knew 2012 felt different, and it was because Blake showed up in town, and
Yeah.
just like I got the buoyancy lift from his presence without even knowing him. You know.
Sick.
And I played Colin the first out of all these guys because I showed up with a Bravo deck to a Blitz thing and was like, this Kano matchup's actually pretty easy. I don't know what's going on. Then he healed like 7 twice. And as I'm coming in with the Anothos for game, he like does 20 to me. And I was like, oh, this is what Kano does. So I don't feel bad whenever I beat him with Warrior every once in a while because the history's there.
Everybody gets baptized by Kano at least once. That and a Dorinthia. Awesome. Well, Zayne, same questions to you, good
Sure.
sir.
Yeah, so I grew up in, I guess we would call it Central California. I live in SoCal now, but so I say Northern California. But when Taylor's on the podcast, I have to be honest and call it Central California is where I grew up. I moved to San Diego in 2011 for college, and then have been here since. My college story is a little more boring. I studied accounting and finance, very, just financially driven at that age. So I did a couple years in accounting, was sick of working 80 hours a week, and then got a job in finance. I work in finance-ish now. I kind of do like financial forecasting, modeling, whatever. Who cares?
Not me, yeah.
He's like a weatherman for money. He's like, this is where the money's coming from. It's a
Yeah.
I'm going to
Zayne,
be poor
what's
my
my-
entire life, Zane.
More or less.
What's my
that is what I
financial
do.
forecast? Can you?
Oh, I don't.
Here, read my palm.
I don't work
Is
for
that what it?
individuals. I work for
Oh.
big corporation, baby. But yeah, so that's what I do for work. Have some hobbies outside of work, but work and Flesh and Blood are like the main things that take up my time. I'm married. I have a dog, and all that's good. I started right around when Blake did. I was one of those Monarch refreshers as well. My brother-in-laws were like getting semi-interested. We were just playing like, back when people would sell like commoner decks online, like because LSS wasn't selling like Blitz decks at the time for whatever
Like
reason.
$12 too.
Yeah. So I was like, we bought the 6 that were in stock, which was like the 3 of the WTR heroes and 3 of the Arcane Rising heroes, and just kind of were like slamming them against each other. And I really liked Rhinar and Bravo at the time. Azalea was not one of the decks I got. It was one of the ones that was sold out. So I didn't identify my love for Ranger yet. But then once Tales of Aria came out, I just really fell in love with the Ice talent, and specifically Lexi. And then I stuck with the Ice talent for a huge portion of my time. So I've played Oldhim, I've played Lexi, I've played Icelander. Lexi's probably the hero I'm like my locals are sick of the most from me. And then now that they've stolen all my ice heroes from me, I play the honorary ice hero in Azalea. I love playing Ranger, so that transition's been fun from Lexi to Azalea. I kind of will play whatever. I always have like the deck I refuse to play every meta. Like I never registered Starvo. I never registered Briar. Never will. Like I have like some degree of standards on like decks that I just deem as like gross and like just fundamentally not what I want to do. But I'm comfortable picking, the second or third best deck in any meta or targeting that top deck. But yeah, that's a little bit about my fab and personal journey to get to this podcast.
And a refresher
Amazing.
from you guys. You guys did it before Monarch showed up, right?
You mean me and Colin?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I got in right between Arcane Rising and Crucible. It's right when I got in. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, I feel like I was interested for several weeks before spoiler season started, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but this is fun. And like similar to Blake, like there was a community of people to talk to about stuff, and that was exciting because I think we had already watched all of the Marvel movies again and several other things from start to finish, so I needed some hobbies that allowed me to do some other things than just hang out with my partner. So
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Here we are. Now we have the longest running Flesh and Blood podcast in the world.
I'm
If
pretty
there's
sure
one
that's
that's been going longer, let us know.
pretty sure that's true. Session Blood was like the only one I found before you guys. Us guys.
I'm so proud to be a part of the longest running podcast.
Let's go.
Longest
the hard
running
work
Flesh
I
and
did.
Blood podcast.
Yeah. We invented podcasting first.
Yeah, no.
And
No,
then
there's homies out there just from like 2006, you
Dude,
know?
podcasts are called podcasts because they went on an iPod,
Whoa.
which is such a random thing that is not going to be known for very much longer.
Yeah.
I do really miss a dedicated music device.
Yeah.
You don't have a Zune, baby?
I mean, they're out there, baby. Just go to Walmart.com and rip it.
The first time I used an iPod is like truly one of those like core memory memes. Like the distinct moment that like I used the wheel and like it like was so responsive and like intuitive, like truly blew my mind as like I think I was like 9 or 10 years old, and just like, oh my God, like what is this device and like how is this? Yes.
Hell yeah.
He has it
Taylor
that close?
is showing
It's
off
crazy.
his original iPod. That is a brick.
I
How
think
many-
it's the
How
third
many
one.
megabytes you got on that, baby?
I think it's 40. Yeah, 40 gigs, baby.
Oh, 40 gigs. Okay. That's a lot for back then. That must be
Yeah,
a
that was
second
a
or
lot.
third.
It's like the third one when they had which is my favorite aesthetically, is the 4 buttons across the top and then the wheel. I think that is just rad. But it's like a 1x1 screen.
Should we start an iPod podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I got an
fuck that.
iTouch whenever I was in high school and watched Dexter under the covers until 3 a.m. for all 4 seasons that were out. I would buy them on iTunes with gift cards from report cards and birthdays.
And then watch them on a screen that's like this big.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
They
Well,
were still naked on it.
awesome. Love it. Great to have you guys here. Let's get into, I guess, the podcast. How do we do this now that we have these new guys here? Do we vamp more about our lives? Colin, what's going on in your life before we get to flesh and blood shit?
Dude, nothing exciting. I got sick again. I don't know why. I just went to work and then picked up lunch twice, and then I got sick. So that sucked. And it happened on a weekend, too. It's like, come on, if I'm going to get sick, happen on like a Monday so I can just take the week off. But no, lost my weekend. That's why I'm a bit hoarse today. Feeling better, though. Otherwise, yeah, I've been contemplating getting back on my Prism bullshit because it's fun, and the new weapon gets us back to those old feelings. So that's where I'm at right now. What about you, Taylor? I know basketball season has concluded in epic fashion, so we're waiting to hear.
Yeah, I am this past week recovering from the end of basketball season. We are going to have a time snap potion podcast about this. So if you're like a faithful person who loves to be here for the random times I have sports talks, you get a little snippet here, but you'll have to become a Patreon subscriber if you want the full 35 to 2 hour podcast that we're going to do about my basketball season we just had. So anybody new here, I coach basketball for the high school I work at, and go Cubs.
Go Cubs.
We just finished our season, and we made it all the way to the championship game for our division. And that would be only the second time in school history we have been in that game, which was pretty rad. And we played small school powerhouse Cornerstone Christian, and unfortunately we lost to them, which was, it's okay. If I think I would be probably crushed if this happens again next year, that we make it to the championship game and we don't win it. But since it's like, we made school history, and, the one time we had won it and been there was in 1990. And I know the majority of those guys, because they're I went to the high school that I coach at and stuff. And so they're from the community. So, and then a number of them were there at the game and that sort of thing. So that was really awesome. But if this happens again next year, I'm going to be devastated. But because it was historic, it was I did it. We made some history. So that's okay. But I'll tell you what, I have a bunch of seniors on my team, and post that game, I had to hold all of them individually as they sobbed in my arms, So it was emotional. It was an emotional game, but it was amazing. And now is my point in my yearly cycle where I realize how tired and beat down I am from a basketball season that starts in November. So I'm clawing my way out of that, and I'm really excited now to get to Flesh and Blood right now is so fun, and I'm really excited that I will now have more time to dive into it. So there you go. Yep.
Hell yeah.
And Zayne and Blake, we've heard too much from you, so we're going to move on.
Perfect. Yeah. Do some stuff these next couple weeks, and then you can tell us about it next.
Yeah.
I'll make a note.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
To do something of note.
So shout outs. We go to shout outs now. So this is the point in the podcast where we shout out some people or things that we like. So my shout out goes to Mitch, aka Johnny Blue Razor. For those of you all diehard Attactioneers, he played in a Road to Nationals this weekend, bubbled out, but in the Discord he said, I really enjoyed the list I was playing and had a great day. In the end, that's all that matters. And I just love that energy. So shout out to Mitch. That's what I'm talking about, man. We need more of that in the flesh and blood zeitgeist. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Had a great day, played a list I loved. Boom. Mission accomplished. So
yeah.
Shout out to Mitch.
Shout out
Good
to
job,
Yi
Mitch.
Chen for going to Antarctica and taking a fab card. Keeping it cool.
Yeah.
Getting a frostbite token to bring back.
That is dope.
Yeah, that was fun. Any other shout outs?
Shout out Alan Lube for gatekeeping me once again in top 8 and winning the RTN. But congrats to him. He had never won a gold foil, which is somehow seems impossible given how good he is. But congrats to him. Get the monkey off the back. Got his win. So happy for him.
One of my favorite Alan stories is it's Starvo meta, and we know he's going to LL, and he's playing Starvo, and I'm sitting near him, and we're talking about it, and he goes, I think he loses, so he's not going to make top 8 or something, and he just goes well, back to losing again. But little known to him was that was not true.
He's never
a
going to
killer
lose
now.
again.
Yeah.
You know, that's that specialist. You know, when you have the skill and the reps on something, you can really find your way, especially in these open metas.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Yeah, you'll see. You'll see. You'll all see. All right. Well, those were great shout outs. I think that's all of them. So now we'll move into the news section. We have some exciting announcements that came out of nowhere. Just, you know, part the fabric of secrecy from LSS and our new set coming out in May. Part the Mistveil. Looks intriguing to say the least. We're going to talk more about that later, but also the Japan calling, the Japan language, distribution, and the world premiere all happening in May, which is pretty exciting. If you ask me, and
nobody
wish-
did.
Great, I'm done then.
Colin, are you excited about this being the first thing that's ever also been announced in Japanese on Fab TCG?
It's the first card game ever to be introduced in Japan, if I'm correct. You know, catch me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Because usually card games start in Japan and go out. So this is
I
the
think,
first one ever to go in.
From that
Ever.
perspective, it's a big business move for LSS, which could, hopefully bring in a lot of new players in Japan and really kind of continue Flesh and Blood's rise in like the big three trading card games of the world.
Is this where our Art of Wars go from like $40 each to like $120 each because Japan just wants all of the original English cards? Or is that like... I feel like that's happened in 5 other games where I've heard the rumors of that happening, but I don't know if it's like, don't sell to your locals, save it for 5 months, and now your Beast Within that you were going to give somebody is now a $50 card, and you had 7 Beast Within lying on the left of your desk for 10 days, for 10 years.
I hope so. I thought the Japanese versions would be like the cool versions, but I also have French version of cards, and like nobody wants those.
Well, that's the whole thing,
who
right?
knows?
We want the Japanese ones, and they want the original English ones.
Great. So as long as mine are more valuable, I'm feeling good about that transaction.
So yeah,
You just trade straight up.
go to events, meet people from other countries, trade cards. It's cool. I'm excited for this. I hope they do a thank you to Japan like they did with Europe, where they printed the original Marvel heroes. And this is not me just coping because I want Lexi in Marvel print, but I really hope they do something like that. Give us, the Tales of Aria, Monarch
and
block,
probably.
Print those in Marvel and Japanese.
That would be tight.
That
I think
would
it
be
is
crazy.
interesting because, like, usually you want the Japanese cards because the card game started in Japan. Like, the Japanese Pokemon cards make sense, but like,
There's
it's not
just something. They look doper. Japanese Pokemon cards, hands down, look doper. I don't know what it is.
Japanese is a cool looking language. I mean, any language that doesn't use like our style of alphabet looks very cool.
That's true.
If they did
Maybe
it in like
English looks cool though.
in like Farsi or something, like that shit would look dope as fuck.
What if they did it in Volcorian language? Would you buy a
Secret layer.
Viscerai that is a fake language, but it all looks like runes?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 All right, I'll send it to the marketing department of LSS at lssmarketing@gmail.com.
I made a huge impulsive purchase a couple weeks ago I bought an Italian Marvel Codex of Frailty because I liked that it wasn't in English and it like looks like it's like more on theme of like being like, old Latin pages. I mean, it's obviously Italian.
Oh shit.
And they're hard to
That's
come by.
tight. I didn't even realize they had those. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I only have one. I won't have it yet, but I'll get it in LA hopefully.
They should have written it like backwards, like Leonardo da Vinci used to write like backwards in his manuscripts. Like that would have been some shit.
Yeah, the
new
codex
magic
is
Also very hard to
character.
read.
The codexes are just my favorite cards. Like I know that some people are turned off by that printing and it's like so different, but oof, it's good.
No way. Those Marvels are really dope.
Yeah.
Those are, I think those are my favorite Marvels.
Yeah. Me too. Those and the figments, but the figments are at least like you expect the figments to look like that. Like when you come from Prism, and then like the codexes are just like wow, like what are those? Like they don't belong at all, but in like a cool and like deserved way.
Yeah, very strong art direction. Again, shout out to.
What are the Marvels for
Print.
Mistveil gonna look like? There's just gonna be
Who
mist
knows?
everywhere.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later in
They're gonna be
in
blurry.
the podcast. Yeah, moist and damp. In other news, the heavy hitters draft deathmatch leaderboard. There's got to be a pithier way to say that. Kasai is edging out KO as the leader. So I believe the big part of this is if you're one of the people who has won with that hero, you get a special promo card if that hero then wins. If I think I'm correct there.
So
But
Yeah, they
Kasai
fixed it
would
right.
have a Command and Conquer card with her on it, and it would be less than 100 people have a copy of that, which is like those cards would be insanely pricey and sought after.
Yeah, it's interesting how it could potentially like drive behavior. Like I hope that doesn't happen, but like, you know, going into an RTN this weekend and you start drafting Warrior and then like a prized Galia comes by and it's like, oh man, like I kind of want that Command and Conquer, but I don't want to be a Olympia. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's like a cool thing that they're doing. They've like not communicated it or like marketed it very well, I would say. So
No,
I'm sure there's
not
a
at
lot
all.
of people who aren't even fully aware. But if you like are really committed to one of these cards, you basically can only go KO or Kasai, which is kind
Or
of
you can misreport on purpose, and there's no way that they would know, which is a weird thing to me of like, why wouldn't you if like, I'm going to wait until top 8 comes around, and then I'm going to report after I win,
well,
and hopefully my judge is on my side because we're BFFs, and who cares?
yeah, you do have to get the judge on board. So hopefully that
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Don't do that. That's called collusion and conspiracy.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. No, I haven't seen anybody do that. But if it's the difference between I'm going to get a $300 card or not get a $300 card, there's a lot of we done things for less. Like I don't know. Like that's always been an interesting layer of the, what is it called? Living Legend leaderboard, the LLL, where it's like, I'm down to scoop to you so you get the invite, but I also don't dump 10 points on my favorite hero. But that's conspiracy and would never happen in Southern California.
Prism living at 998.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, wasn't it
Breyer also
Breyer?
did. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Prism was literally 998 though, like that, and you couldn't get 1 point. So it was like the exact literal minimum, like the highest number you could get without going to 1,000. And then she lived for like at least 2 months or something until she won that calling in Lille.
What's the order of our heroes on this deathmatch leaderboard?
Yeah, so it's Kasai in first at 31, then it's KO at 25, and then it's just like a cavernous jump to Betsy at 10, and then Olympia at 9, then Victor at 8, so all pretty, reasonable. And then we have Reinar at 2. Blake?
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
And I think this is where, if you've followed Blake Meier for 2.5 years, it's almost 3 in April, I'm angry, but I'm also largely correct and right. And one thing that I complained
Which is more
about,
important.
but I don't present it very well. So everyone goes, shut up, you're just complaining. But I'm the one who's played Reinar for 2 years. So when everybody in December was like, Reinar is the 6th hero, I was extremely angry. And I was extremely, why is this happening? Everyone told me, go ahead and shut up. He's going to get support. to send him to the next level. It's also going to be really good in limited, and it's going to be really easy to draft him because he's going to be so broken with Intimidate. And I said, well, I hope you guys believe that and play those cards, because then I can play the Warriors and kick your ass. And that's what is eventually going to happen. I'm going to focus Warrior every single freaking time I draft this set, because it's impossible to get 6s at a rate enough where you can do stuff with Reinhardt in a draft setting. It's even more impossible in a limited setting. So you telling me, go ahead and shut up, Blake, it's really good that it got reprinted, because not only are you going to have more opportunities to play Reinhardt, he's going to be better than ever, has not followed through over the last 3 months from December to now. That's 2 months. That hasn't followed up and followed through of like, Blake, I'm wrong. I'm going to take a step back here. And I'd love for Reinhardt to be a high performer during RTN CC as well. And he's kind of at the bottom of everyone else that's winning too in there. So it is kind of, I don't like saying I told you so, but I do want his cards to be a little bit better. And I would have loved there to be a third Brute, a fourth Brute instead of Reinhardt. And then we can give Show No Mercy to that new Brute. We can give maybe some new... I'm tired of playing Claws. I'm tired of playing Centauri Saber. Now I'm just going on the heavy hitter rant. But I've had a blast with heavy hitters. Like, literally some of the most fun I've had in a year and a half playing the game. But it is I want to go ahead and say, when I was mad in December, everything that I've kind of outlined at that time has happened.
Yeah. Blake, my only retort there is, shut up, you're wrong. And we'll just move on.
Maybe this game isn't for you, Blake. I've heard that. Yeah.
Jeez.
I do think that Reinhardt, and this is not what anyone who likes Reinhardt wants to hear, but I do think that he's like sneaky okay. Like, I think he's like
Play him. Play him, Zayne.
He top 8'd the RTN.
Bring him to an RTN.
Okay.
This is a classic Zayne moment.
Shout out to Andrew in San Diego. He got a Talk a Big game for 10. So he got 10 Might tokens off of a Talk a Big game into Savage Beatdown. Against and this was not like against Training Dummy. No, this was against Austin, who like top 8'd or was in the finals of the event. Reinhardt is...
Did Andrew win that game?
He did. He top 8'd and he lost to Alan Lube, who won the event. So I think Reinhardt's he's frustrating. Like, as someone who also enjoys Reinhardt, he's like close to being what you want, and then like there's those games where it's like, okay, I'm in a winning position. I've done everything correctly. I have tempo, and now the correct line is to roll scab skins. And it's like, and if I roll a 1, which I will do a lot, like I just lose. And like I did everything I did is bunk. And like I've always wanted like gloves for Reinhardt that are like adjacent to Gambler's gloves that give him a little more agency, that aren't just re-roll. And that's what I was hoping was coming. Like Apex Bonebreaker is great, but it really is a KO card. Like obviously Reinhardt will run it because it's so powerful, but it's advancing KO's game plan more than it advances Reinhardt's. And it's frustrating. I wish he got more support, but I do think that if you really dedicate it to Reinhardt, he can win. Like, and that's not true of at least 7-8 heroes. Like, but it is true. Like Reinhardt can win right now, but he should be stronger than that, given that he just got a new set where he's like the focus, or should have been the focus.
I think we've seen it in their design leading up to this, that they are, for whatever reason, because they've been not careful with so many other things, but they definitely are very careful with Intimidate,
Too careful,
and
probably.
making that like a little bit too consistent.
Which
I know is not like a hot take, and everybody has said that already, but it's like, it's the thing you have to say to make yourself feel okay.
Right.
And
I
like,
don't
what else
wanna-
is there to say?
And I don't want to get ahead, but I'm going to bring Levia to Sunday, and it is like, I got a taste of how about having a deck with 15 more blues, 6s as KO. And I was like, that's pretty nice, but I missed the power level of Claw. So what's the happy medium? Levia right now with 7 6s. I can do all kinds of stuff, and she has all of her shadow stuff as well. Where it was like, I haven't touched Levia in ever. Like, I built the deck when we were doing Monarch stuff, but then switched to Rhinar and just never touched that deck box, and it's still in my Pokemon deck box that I'm going to bring and show everyone on Sunday. It's really cute. But, like, now it's time to play Levia because I think she's getting such a bonus from some of these heavy hitter cards where it's clearly time. If Levia is going to take down tournaments, it's right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which she kind of is, which we'll get into. Other quick take, one word here from the three of you. Pocket Pokemon, hype or trash?
I went to download it and found out it doesn't exist yet. So I guess hype.
Okay. Hype, okay. Okay.
Can you repeat the
Which kind
question?
of Pokemon?
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, have you guys not seen this? The company that makes the TCG Pokemon, it has made a app that you can play, pick up games, and open digital packs and have a digital collection and trade them and that sort of thing.
This was from the Pokemon Day announcement. I wasn't familiar with the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 words. Cautiously optimistic, I guess. I don't know if I'll play it, but it's
Okay.
a cool idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a side currency where you're like, all right, talk a big game for a double down. There's a little bit different, but let's also trade on Pokemon Pocket a card, and now that will make it even.
I'm kind of psyched in if I were to, yeah, I'm psyched.
The
That's
teaser
it.
for
We'll see
that
what
Pikachu
happens.
card where it like takes you into the like environment.
Yeah.
Okay, that did it for me. I liked that a lot.
And then the ad where it was like, he's at a dinner with a beautiful girl and goes, hold up. Let me touch my phone and open my pack real quick. I was like, I like
Which I don't get. Like, do you just randomly get packs throughout the day? Anyway, we don't need to talk about it.
Twice a day.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna say
also into-
if they give you free shit, I'm into it. If it's that Marvel Snap kind of thing where like you can buy stuff but you don't have to, I could see myself downloading it and playing it for at least 2 to 3 weeks straight.
Link it to
I just like the Pokemon TCG, but I don't like it enough for it to be like another thing I collect and play.
Yeah.
Especially because locally, that's a child's game, truly, and I would rather play with adults. So if this is a way for me to play with my homies, then I'm down.
Link it to a step
Aw.
counter. Give you a pack every 5,000 steps.
Sick. Love that.
Pokemon Go Pocket.
Yeah. Let us plug our bullshit and then we'll get into the main topic. So, if you've been enjoying this podcast so far, and this is your first time or 100th time you've been with us, please consider supporting us on Patreon. That is like the best way to support us. Most of that money goes right to us, and it's open to the first tier at $4, which, if you get 2 shots in your latte, is more than $4. And if you get a latte 5 days a week, only once, you know you're getting an afternoon latte, okay? You're at lunch, you're a little tired, you're getting a latte. You know you are, and you're spending $5 plus a tip is $6. Well, our podcast, which is way more entertaining than that latte and might even give you more energy, FDA, waiting for our FDA approval on that one, is only $4. So consider spending that money to us. That would be great because it really helps us get a nice microphone for Blake and other stuff, and put on the Hype House. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you've already gotten the mini quizzes and vetting situations and facial recognition that Colin has
Background
developed.
checks,
Yeah, to get you into the Hype House, which is happening in April, and we'll make some fun content to make you all jealous, to feel like you missed out. But we are going to a house, and we're going to freaking party with all our homies, and it's going to be great.
And by party, he means play Flesh and Blood way too much, if
Yep.
that's possible.
But do it with adult beverages, which is going to be great. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and or the podcast. Those are great ways to support us as well if finances are tough. Review, also really huge. Just like I do that all the time. Not review, but I mean even thumbs up videos. Like if I watch it and it's somebody I enjoy, I am now thumbs upping. So that really helps. Lastly, I'm sure maybe Colin will remember something I didn't, but tell a friend. If you are already doing all of these things and then you're at the local armory and somebody was like, hey, this podcast was really great. You go, you know what? That podcast is trash. Listen to the longest running podcast about Flesh and Blood, the Attack Action Podcast.
If you're in a car,
Well, I was going to say, if they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of Attack Action, you say, fuck you, it's the Attack Action Podcast. Okay, go ahead, Colin.
if you're in a car right now, just roll down the window and just yell out the Attack Action Podcast with no context, and then just roll back up your window and go about your day. And that helps, you know? There's no
What
way to
about if
prove
you're
that
at work?
doesn't help. If you're at work,
Even better.
yeah.
Stand up in your cubicle.
Stand up, pull up the stomach, pull out the belly, slap it, and yell the Attack Action Podcast.
What if
I
you're in a
kind of
stall
wish-
at a bathroom at a Chili's?
Put down the ribs. Put down the ribs that you're still eating currently, and yell, the Attack Action Podcast is helping me through this hard time.
They're number one while I'm number two currently.
Let's
I
go.
sometimes wish our podcast fit on was 8 letters so I could get it on my knuckles. Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, if we just call it the
Anyway.
Attaction Podcast, maybe
You
that
could
is.
abbreviate, yeah.
That's Colin. That's more than 8.
Well, we'll just call it the Attaction, and we'll drop the Z. Let's call it Attaction.
Z.
And it'll
The
be
Attaction.
very confusing to everyone.
Yeah, it'll look cool though.
PODCAST exclamation.
It's just podcast. Yeah. Oh God.
Beans.
That would be. Jeez. Could
All
I
right.
be more of a white dude if I had podcast tattooed
Honestly,
on me?
don't think so.
That would be it.
Get his
Just-
ass. All right, on to the main topics. Here we go. We got a catch-all of a variety of topical things to discuss what's going on in the world of competitive Flesh and Blood. Road to Nat season well underway. We've got discussions offshooting from all of that, some drama, if you will. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the announcement of Part the Mistveil. But, to start it off, Road to Nats are underway. Zayne's been to one. The rest of us haven't. Zayne's been to 2, so that, 2 out of 4. Is that how that works? Sure. But yeah, I think there's been some interesting numbers coming out, this relating to kind of the open meta discussion. But, right now, we're not in a meta that has been solved. And, I guess the data that's being collected on that is kind of like part of this thing that people are also talking about, whether that's good or bad. But yeah, I mean, how Zayne, how has it been for you prepping for this? I know, you are part of a real team of players. So going into that, knowing that, there's this open meta going on, how was your preparation for that, I guess, to get us into this topic, I guess?
Yeah, so the first weekend I went to just one, and it was draft, so really no prep at all, CC-wise. And then I was curious to see results because as far as I could tell, there wasn't a best deck. Like, it was very hard to identify what deck to bring. And this was, around the time that Yuki wins with KO, and, KO is just kind of like strong aggro deck, pretty resilient. So that was like high on my list of like, I would expect him to win the most. And then he doesn't. He was tied for second. And then going into week 2, I just was like, I don't have reps on KO. I didn't really have much time with work that week to prep, so I just was like, the last 2 months I've only played Azalea. I'm just gonna bring Azalea and see how it goes. And the meta at our store was like wide open. The top 8 that we eventually had was 8 different heroes, like multiple different. Like I think there was 7 classes, 8 heroes. So it was just, what everyone's been saying, just wide open, like really hard to identify how to target, which I think some people have complained about, and that's part of the whining, I think, on Twitter, which is partially justified, but also partially like, come on, this is fun. Like there's so much to be done, and there's so many different ways to attack it, and at the end of the day, you're going to rely on some gem luck, sure, but your matchup spread throughout the day is going to be so diverse and so like unique, whereas in past metas is it Starvo this round, is it Prism this round, or is it Viscerai this round, which are fun in their own right, but man, this one is unique.
Sick. Yeah, I mean, a couple of things are happening. They're also not producing, and by they I mean LSS, the level of numbers from RTNs that they have in the past. It would say like X amount of events, X amount of people topped with this hero, these ones converted, and that sort of thing. We would get all of that data. And I'm actually kind of more enjoying not knowing those things. Because hopefully a couple of things, right? Like it forces players to kind of flex a skill we haven't really had to flex before. And then it also kind of allows for those individuals who had a cool story to tell to be able to tell it, or for somebody to be like, hey, let's find out who that, like Bolton did super good. Who are these people and where was that happening? And like, let's try to figure out that story and be detectives. And that's like more fun. But I can't, the complaint, I don't know if it's like hard complaining, but it's definitely mentioning the open meta being a, potential issue for, I quote, pro players. You know what I mean? Which I'm just like, if I were to put myself in the quote pro player category, I would not complain about this or mention it as an issue, because I'm then quote a pro player and should be able to handle this sort of thing, right? Which is like solving this new puzzle that we have not had to do really yet in the game. Having been around for a very long time and played through all of the like 1 best deck, 2 best deck formats, those are way less fun than it is right now. 100%. Because you just get to kind of play a wider variety, and there's so many heroes and strategies, and that's way more fun, because when you play in those like really narrow metas, you're either like playing this like fringe deck that you fucking hope just murders one deck that's overrepresented, or you're playing one of those best decks, and then when you don't top, you just go, well, shit, now it's really clear I'm like not as good as everybody else, or here's my bad beat story, or dang, this is the best deck and I didn't win with it, like, etc. Which is maybe like fun for you. You're like, oh, I just got to go practice this broken thing more or whatever. But I think, this one of the things, it's a growing pain, like I have to figure out how general yet powerful my deck can be, because who knows what the fuck I'm going to face. And that's cool, because maybe we'll use cards we've never used before. Where's the Wounded Bull that we need to find right now to like fit into all these different matchups? Like that's the moment we're in. And I think that's a cool moment and should be more celebrated than, yes, if you're not as good as me, then this is probably fun, but I'm really good and I would like it to be more narrow so I can show you how good I am, is what it feels like sometimes to me. Maybe that's too harsh, Maybe it's because Blake's on the podcast. I feel safe to be harsh. I don't know.
Because I feel like if you're going to say my name, I can be the complainer whisperer here. And the complaining online, I'm going to do finger quotes for the people listening at home. There's the idea of this game is hyper competitive. And you have taught this player base that there is a singular best deck in all of the metas. If you play Starvo 7 times for your 7 RTNs, you will top and get a top 4 no matter what, because that deck is so good, it eliminates any player negativity.
Great
and
point.
then let's go ahead and say Starvo's number 1. We could also do that with Prism. If you put your hours into Prism, there was a meta where you're going to top 4 no matter what. And then the latest one was Lexi. Don't forget Oldham. So those 4 decks, if I want to be a quote-unquote pro player, I think there's maybe 5 pro players in Fab. I don't even think there needs to be a middle category where we can say hopeful pro player, or like there's like 5 people you could name and everyone in the game should know. And that's not even the world champions at this point. Like do you remember all of them, or do you remember one, or is it hard, or whatever? I'm not trying to be like I can't remember 2 people's names, but it's like it's not that guy came out of nowhere, not he's been around for 5 years and nailed a tournament. That was a gem. A prayer to get in the top 8 and then crush everyone is a really cool story, but I don't know him as a pro, even though he's got the second most money of all time, probably. So that's a weird side to say this, but like now, if you play your specific best deck, you could play KO for your 7 RTNs and never get top 4 because you consistently run into the bad deck that you just can't beat, because everyone is doing completely different things. It's not a triangle where you're going to, they're going to get killed and I can triangle forward, because like Prism's main bad guy for all of her beginning was Rhinar. And people weren't playing Rhinar because Rhinar gets owned by everything else, but a Prism can't beat a Rhinar. And like unless it goes completely right for them after Everfest. Before Everfest, Rhinar would crush Prism, and that was a thing that I would do. I remember that of like, they don't want to see me. I'm inserting my personal thing into this. But like now that's just not possible, because there's a fighting game is balanced for like 8 heroes. So whenever it's all 27 of them are balanced, you could lose to anybody. And that's not really good for our potential pro players that are in the middle of wanting, I put 40 hours into this. I showed up to my 7 tournaments. I better have qualified. And I think that's where the bitching and complaining comes from, because that used to be good and now it's not good enough. And they've probably worked harder this time around than they did last time. So if you work harder with less results, that's why you would complain. And I also think Kano, if you've had a pocket Kano, congratulations, this is the perfect time for it. But if you're losing to people on Kano, you're probably in your head being like, what the hell? But they put effort into that hero and it's paying off for them. But it feels like they're not putting work into brand new heroes like you are, of trying the new Kasai deck, trying the new KO, trying the new... Who else is out there that's a brand new deck? You were trying brand new stuff and they
Victor.
just rested on their laurels. Yes, I'm trying a brand new Victor deck. They, quote unquote, rested on their laurels by playing Kano and took down a tournament. I can't believe they got so lucky. Where it's like, it's a different skill, bud.
Dude, okay. Here's my take on Kano. Like,
Before we get to Kano.
Go ahead. Thank you. Great job.
I've got something to say. No, I mean, I kind of was going through all the Twitter stuff, seeing what people were, talking about, because I have to, I have to force myself to do that, because I don't like looking at Twitter, because it's not the most fun place to be. But interesting thing, one thing I saw, I thought I took a screenshot of it. I did not. But someone was basically just calling out the fact that like a lot of these like, and I'll use air quotes too for those listening, pro players are, not to just be totally shitty.
That's my job.
You're infecting us.
Basically are just like spikes who don't have the ability to spike right now, and they're just complaining about it. And then also while Blake was talking, I was just thinking, this is basically the experience that most of us have all the time of being like, well, I have this deck, I'm trying really hard, but I can't seem to beat these things, and I keep, getting my bad matchup because I don't want to play the quote unquote best deck in the meta. And it's like, I have zero sympathy for you. I can empathize with you because I have been there, but like you complaining that you don't get to go and just take down your RTN because you think you should, like, think about anything you're saying at all before you say it, please. That's always a good step. But also just like, who cares? Also, I'll just call this one out too. Tark tweeting this thing, which I thought was just like hilariously kind of tone deaf, where he says, people aren't ready to hear this. Some of the most fun formats I've played across many games have been homogenized metas. I'm like, how are people not ready to hear your personal opinion about something that only pertains to you and how you feel about it? Like, he's literally saying, like, because I feel this way, it is true for everyone. It's just like, no, it isn't, sir. I'm sorry. I don't know if he listens anymore to our podcast, but I just thought it was very funny because it was just like,
Probably
people
not.
aren't ready to hear my personal opinion about something. I'm like, really? Because that's all Twitter is. And I don't think you're going to change anybody's life by saying this very kind of pointed and specific thing where it is not true for many of us. Like, Starvo meta was really weird and not fun. Briar
Dude,
meta almost ruined me in this game. Like, like,
Chain
this
meta,
is, yeah,
not fun unless you're playing chain.
yeah, exactly. And even when
And
you
the
are
only-
and you lose, it's not fun because you're like, why didn't I win on the best deck?
The only way chain was fun was when somebody tried to fatigue you and you're like, awesome, I get to play for 45 minutes and show you how good I am at this game. Like, here's my perfect pitch stack, you're dead. Like, that's what was fun.
yeah,
Not that, like, in other matchups, you're like, cool, I won in 15 minutes and you're just like not as powerful. It's when people fatigue. So there's like a specific window, which also does not happen when you play Starvo. When you just go roulette, I win. Wasn't that fun? Like, I've told this so many times on this podcast, but my last game against Starvo, he had 4 attacks in his graveyard. He had 2 cripplings, an Oakenold, and some other bullshit, and I was dead. That was it, And like, that's not fun.
Yeah.
Having been through these metas and just been a person, not even
But
a pro player.
But when
it's
Kano
not-
shows up
it's not fun.
and you were like, I don't need to bring Arcane Barrier, and then he blows you up, that is your choice and your fault and not Kano's fault. They're there just doing their thing, which is saying, hey, I'm a deck. If you don't respect me, you could just die.
Totally.
Instantly.
100%. That's Kano's role, is when you fucking forget about him, he burns you, which is beautiful. And yes, it sucks when you just go activate Tunic and then you die. You know what I mean? But it's so fun for Kano. Like, that's why people do it. Because it's fucking fun to go, here's Wildfire, here's another thing, here's my double blazing. Eat shit. You died. Like, that's so fun to do that. Or if like you get pushed back into a corner and you find fucking secret 27 lethal out, like, that's fun as shit. Definitely sucks for you who thought you were gonna win, but that's what's gonna happen. Anyway, okay. I'm halfway through this beverage. I'm fucking fired up. Zayne is just over here watching and loving all of this.
I have something
the
to
other
say.
pro player that had a tweet about this was Lucas Oswald. And I don't want to pick somebody on half my size and half my age, but there was a layer of just because the meta is diverse doesn't mean it's healthy. But I think every time he's won a major tournament, it's been on Lexi or Starvo. And I just want to go, I don't know if you get to talk about this one of like you would have to play a deck that's not the best to then talk about like, homogenized meta versus diverse meta, blah, blah, blah. Like, you are benefiting on I'm playing the best deck in all my wins.
Zayne?
There's a lot here. Lots to unpack. I love an open meta. I think that Flesh and Blood appeals to people for a whole host of reasons. I think the flavor of Flesh and Blood is truly like a miracle that like the ninja feels like a ninja and the wizard feels like a wizard and the illusionist feels like an illusionist. There's the people out there who have the playmat, they have their deck, they have it signed. Andrew Rudin has his, Prism artist proof. The flavor, it matters to them, right? And in an open meta, those people are feasting, right? I love Ranger. I have Ranger stuff. I want to play Ranger. So the Lexi narrow meta is fun for me. Yeah, because I like to play Ranger. But now in open meta, I can still justify playing Azalea. She's, let's call her the 7th best deck. I can still justify bringing her. I can lean into the flavor of my hero. That's awesome. We love it. Now, these pro players, which I'll join in on the air quotes.
Let's go.
There's the people who don't bring the tokens. They play all the like non-foil. They don't care, which is fine. Like that, there's the whole Magic stereotype of like the beat up Channel Fireball deck box and I don't have my tokens aesthetic that people love. I don't have a playmat. I'm so cool for not having a playmat. That is a whole like other reason that Flesh and Blood is fun, which is that it's a relatively low variance card game, right? And they straddle this line, which is frankly like borderline impossible. And each meta is a little different, and we toe to one side or the other. Of, hey, this meta is like really catering to the spikes, the no playmat, no token people. And then there's an open meta, which it's like, hey, bring your deck, right? You like Wizard? Good time to be a Wizard fan. And I think that when people talk about, oh, open metas aren't fun, or oh, closed metas aren't fun, I enjoy both. Like I really liked the Starvo meta, honestly, in a weird way, because I could target it as Viserai. And I knew that I could make them nervous as Viserai by playing Unmovables, reduce to rune chance, and I'm going to pop off. And like, it appeals to a different kind of thinking. And I think that like I sit in a unique crossroads where like, I love to be competitive in Fab. Like I love to like try to win ProQuest and qualify for Pro Tour, but also I love the flavor of it. And I think the different styles of metas appeal to different people. And I'm like happy to be one that gets to kind of dip on both sides, but I can also hear the arguments on both sides of like, yes, this feels like less of a spike, playground where you bring Victor and then you play Kano 3 rounds in a row and it's like, yikes, that's rough. But also like it's punishing you for not having a specialized choice because you always are switching. And like, I'm kind of a hypocrite. I've switched. I've played a lot of decks, but I also am kind of like a Ranger specialist at this point where in a meta like this, I can just go, okay, comfort pick Azalea. And I'm perfectly happy to, get out the Marvel Azalea and, have fun playing Ranger as opposed to like trying to win everything. So that's a lot. That's
Absolutely.
what I had to say.
Ripple away.
Zayne, I think you have, and you've earned your place on this podcast right there. That was eloquent and did a good job rounding out our square of other stuff there. I agree with you totally. Like I did like the Starvo meta because I could play Viserai, which I had been playing for a long time, and I happened to be a person who could play Chain and enjoyed that. So that was like really fun, and then even the Lexi meta was like totally okay because I had Assassin or whatever, at that time. And these are all years apart. 2 things. One, out of what you said, I do think that if you play this game long enough, it seems like everybody eventually becomes a specialist. You know what I mean? Like you've been playing a long time, Zayne, and now you're just kind of like, well, now I just have played so much Ranger. I just am kind of a Ranger, and that's kind of happened to me as well. Like where when Viserai basically gets banned, that I've had to soul search and have just been slowly playing Assassin since it was out long enough to where now I'm just like, well, fuck it. This is just what I play, So I think eventually, if you play this game long enough, maybe that's what you're going to just do, and we'll see if that comes true. But I want to get into maybe that idea of, can you argue for or against, is a diverse meta actually healthy? Yes or no?
I think that it's healthier for the less competitive people, and like the Venn diagram of like how high that penetrates or not is like an important point. And I think that this specific open meta penetrates very high. Like I think that competitive players should still be very happy with this meta, because I do think this is a skill testing meta. The comment that like Lucas made about like open meta does not mean good, I also agree with that. But I don't think that the unhealthy open meta has ever existed in Fab.
Yeah, I feel like the times it's been open for like weeks, you know, like several weeks where people didn't know what to do. But also, to what Zayne just said, it's good and healthy for the players who are not that as competitive, which is the majority of the people who buy this product and support it and make sure that it can be continued as a successful business enterprise, which is the only reason, you know, it's really made in the to begin with. So like, yeah, that's important. So if like the couple guys who like can almost scrape a living off of playing this game aren't super happy right now, like, don't care. I'm sorry that, you know, you lost a game and you're not used to that. Like, you should get used to that, because that's part of being competitive, as I'm told.
And this open meta is only going to last for about 3 more weeks until we get the Pro Tour top 8 list, and that'll just be what everyone plays at Armory for a solid 3 months until Mistveil comes out. 2 months, 3 months. We got to start figuring out month counts. It's going to be 3 months of just straight what top 8'd Los Angeles, and well, I want to win the really cool promo, so I'm going to play that KO deck.
I think there is some truth in that, Blake, but I want to. So Colin said a great thing. I think like this would be my point. So like Colin says, it's open meta is best for the majority of players, right? But the people that the majority of players interact with or look to level up with are the, in quotes again, pros. So anybody who's on stream at the Pro Tour, blah, blah, blah. But one of the best things about an open meta, again with air quotes, for a stream is that opens up more storylines and cool things to share and make a better product on the stream. Like, so-and-so has come in with this deck and they've been playing this since the beginning they started, and look, here they are at the Pro Tour, like in a win and in. They made top 8, they made top 4, etc. You know, or some pro player even is like, yeah, I just kind of figured out that, you know, this maybe was going to be a really good call for this. You know what I mean? And it's like not maybe something we had predicted. Like if the meta is going to be open like that, then it opens those possibilities for stories and moments. And that is like super what Flesh and Blood needs to continue to grow. It can't just be like, well, everybody's playing this best deck and we're just going to watch mirror matches and, oop, they have yellow stance responses in their deck rather just the reds and the blues. What spice and innovation? Like, that's boring as fuck. And if I was a commentator, would be so hard to sell, right? But underdogs, stuff from out of nowhere, dark horses, etc., like those are fucking fun stories. And if an open meta leads to that, then that's even better. More people are going to want to play. They're like, you mean I could be Joe Schmo with my no tokens and playmat because I'm broke and I also want to spike this? Like, perfect. That's a great story. Boom.
One thing I think is really fun in this kind of open meta, you know, because we do, as kind of less competitive players, we do look to pro players to come up with cool lists that we can play and enjoy playing. And that's a big part of how this whole system works.
Yeah.
But in this time, like, it feels very empowering to be like, well, I don't know what to do, so maybe I'll just come up with my own thing and see how that goes, and I'll, like,
Yes.
figure it out with my friends, and like we've got an idea for something, and then that feeds into what you're saying, like, if they are successful in coming up with something new and interesting, when usually they might have just net decked something that was proven to be very strong, they could have this like amazing run at a big event. So like I think that is where this is more about us, people like myself who are not like, who are pretty sure they're not going to win an RTN and go to nationals, and they're not going to the pro tour, that kind
Not
of
with
shit.
that
So
attitude, Colin.
it's not really a goal of mine. So like, it's not
okay.
something I'm like, I'm trying to do. So I would be surprised to do it. I'll go if I can, but it's not like, my image is built into that anymore. I think for a time I was considering that to be part of like who I was as a player, but it just isn't something I care as much about now, because I just honestly don't have the time to really do that. But it's a time for us to like really explore it and have fun, like, and just play games, like. And if that means like some unexpected people win and some people you would have thought would win don't, like, that's just cool and fun and good for the game, in my opinion. And I don't think, a game where just the same, 50 people from around, your region, country, whatever, win all the time, like, that's not that exciting, and feels like, you can't break in there. But like, if you can break in there with something unique, and either because you're a specialist and you just love this hero and you've played a lot, and now you're kind of like shining for unknown reasons, really, other than just like gem luck or whatever, like, that's fun and exciting for other people to hear about, and I think is more of a story to promote this game than just like, I played the best deck and I won my tournament. I'm good, and this game is sometimes fun.
I guarantee. Well, I don't guarantee.
Guarantee
In
it.
my opinion, in my opinion, and tell me if you could come up with a better one. But literally, one of the best stories in the last couple of years was Tom Dowling on Dashio, going on that insane run, and Ben Dodd in the finals at that calling. Like, Ben flicks 2 knives and just defeats Dromai as the underdog as Uzuri, and Tom goes on this fucking insane run with basically a deck everybody was like, well, I don't know, I think it's good, I think it's probably pretty good, and he just fucking wrecks house with it. Like, that is the best Flesh and Blood story we've had in quite a long time. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about here. Okay. Now I'm done.
That was a sweet stream, partially too because of like when it happened, just like calendar wise, but also like just, this is American speaking, but like it was like on at like the right time for everyone to be like engaged in it. Like, it was like a weekend, like middle of the day, like on like a lazy Sunday kind of day for a lot of people, and like I felt like a lot of people watched it, and it was a particularly good stream to watch and enjoy. Yes,
Captivating. It's a great story.
Stories.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we solved it. We solved the open meta problem, and you're welcome. So
Well, we got to put problem in quotes. We put a lot of things in quotes. We might as well put problem in
How
quotes.
many-
we're gonna call it the Pro Am Tour now too,
How
since
many
because there's
pro
only 5 pro
players?
players and everyone else is
Yeah.
just pretending.
How many pro players do you think play FAB? If you could, what does a pro player mean, and how many are there? I don't think there's more than 40 at the lowest denominator of how you could say a pro player.
Yeah, I don't even know how I would define that.
You're a
Like-
pro player if you believe in yourself.
nearly no like actually pro per the name of like that's your job. I just like don't.
I think
like-
there, if that's a thing, it's like 2 or 3 people.
It's
Yeah,
like,
it's like
2 or 3.
You've top 8'd callings or bigger on multiple continents. That's a pro player in my mind for what legacy card games are. And I think there's like 6 of those people tops.
Yeah.
Mhm.
10, maybe 15 max, just because I'm giving myself some error there. Yeah. There's like nobody.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
who cares what most people
I'm glad
think?
we figured that out. Take that, fake pro players online. You're not
Check
better than me.
Not in ways we're going to discuss. All right. So that was a great
That's for the
discussion.
Patreon.
I enjoyed all the takes on that, and I feel like I came out thinking a little bit differently about it. So thank you guys.
That's beautiful. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Expanded.
Well,
the
let's,
horizon.
I wanted to bring some like chiller vibes into our next section because we're going to, just fully clothed walk into the lake water, the sparkling lake water towards the moon,
I love
parting
this.
the Mistveil. Cue like the X-Files theme song. For 10,000 years, our ancestors have.
I have
walked
had
the
a chill
path
day.
well traveled.
I've been listening to reggae all day for some reason and just been vibing out. Anyway, that's not
Well, my
related.
dramatic reading is over now, so I'm glad you had a chill day.
I put Mumford and Sons on my drive on Tuesday for the first time in years.
Yeah,
Very,
you feel
very
good.
2010 of you.
Yeah.
It was not my fault.
Real
Spotify
quick, how
just,
do we feel about Beyonce making a country album? No, I'm just kidding.
Rip it forever.
We're going.
yeah, do whatever you
Buying a
want,
cowboy
Beyonce.
hat.
Who gives a fuck? Spotify gave me a playlist that was like 2010s.
Dude, all
was
right.
like,
we've
all
gone
right.
on a tangent now. Spotify gave me the most random daily mix today that was like Persian pop and like kind of like psychedelic rock music, which I have listened to before, but like not in recent
Not on purpose. Yeah.
weeks. No, definitely
Not
on
in
purpose,
quantity.
but not recently. And normally it's very like, oh, this is what you're listening to recently. And it was like this full like list of shit that most of it I hadn't heard of before, and I was like, this is banging music. So
Oh, sick.
that was great.
All right. It's
Anyways.
fire.
Hot. Yeah, that's cool.
Anyways, back to the sparkly moon, ocean water,
Oh,
mountains, bamboo growing off the rocks somehow. I hope this
The
is
mist
fresh water.
beckons.
The mist beckons like the snake hiding in the murky water. We have done it. We've made it to Mistveil, wherever that is. Or is it
I
a
think it's
place
a
or is it a
veil.
thing?
I think it's a veil of mist.
Gotcha. Okay. It's a thing. It's a barrier that we have to cross or part so that we can then cross to someplace else, which is
Mysteria.
Oh, yeah. I guess it's Mysteria.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Confirmed.
Which Mysteria is Japan. Also confirmed because these things are lining up in ways beyond theme
can't
into
be a
real
coincidence.
world,
Rathe
geography.
is an allogram to Earth. Or whatever the right word is.
Anagram?
Anagram. Allogram? That's an allegory. And
There's
an
no
anagram
W in Earth.
in the same.
There's no W in Rathe.
Correct.
Oh, fuck. I'm going to edit that out.
No, you're not. The M&R podcast got that wrong too. So it's all good. A lot of people do.
It's the
Who are those guys?
WTR.
Yeah, it's Rathe. Rathe.
One thing that I just popped in my head, but I think it's already convinced it's not. But like, we got this is the 5th year. There was a set of 4.
Blake,
so
this is 4, not
yeah,
5.
we're halfway there. You can't do the
thumb
full
is-
5.
Nope,
happening,
this is
yeah.
not
4.5.
halfway of 5.
4.5.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, now we're on the same page.
So, Welcome to Rathe has 4 new heroes, and then the next year, Arcane Rising has a brand new hero, and then Monarch has a brand new hero, and that was year 3, and then Arachne. Maybe this is figure out your math, but like Arachne is a brand new hero, brand new class is what I'm trying to say. Class.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there
Okay,
was
'cause
more
I'm
than
like,
one
more
new
than one.
Bro, they're
With-
all new heroes, dog.
Within we haven't had a new class in over a year at this point. So is this the time we're getting a new class, or no? You can already look at the thing and it says a new talent like never seen before. And I think this may be where we're very happy with our 10 classes. That's a very clean number. But now our talents are going to feel like they're new classes, and there's going to be such diversity in that playstyle. Yes, you can use that same card pool, but now ninjas are going to feel so different from each other. And it's going to feel like this is almost a samurai, even though it's a ninja mist, or a lunar ninja is going to feel so different than the other ninja, where it feels like it's almost new class. We just don't want to make a brand new dump of samurai cards.
I think if either is true, new class or new talent that makes everything seem so new, I'm on board. Love that.
Is it lunar or mist, do you think?
I think it's moist.
I'm a moist ninja.
Is the snake hiding in the murky water? Like, I know there's been a lot of discussion about that, but there's like the 3 lines, right? The tiger stalking its prey, clearly ninja.
Yep.
Ninja.
Waning faces of the moon, wizard. We're good.
Wizard. Done.
We did it,
Which
baby. Let's go.
Is funny that it's wizard because like I feel like a lot of people haven't talked about wizard. They've talked about illusionist, but the snake hiding in the murky water is not illusionist to me at all.
Murky is the word you care about.
See, are you saying the snake hiding in the murky
Mistveil.
water is illusionist?
Because the illusion of, oh, this water's fine, and then you get hit by a snake.
Because
Yeah,
that would be
right.
ninja illusionist wizard, which is uprising.
Never done.
But it's interesting. Like they've clearly hid this little detail that I feel like.
Which has never been done before.
But
I
then,
think- Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, like one thing that happened was, oh, there's Draconic, and then out of nowhere they go, here's Icelander as well. So there could be. You remember the 3 talents,
Right.
the 3 things. There's also a 4th hero that's going to come crash the party because they're the one who parted the Mistveil and is endangering Mysteria.
They partied the Mistveil.
Oh.
No, I mean, well, okay. Let's also talk about why illusionist is in the conversation. Because
Amira.
of the key art here that I keep describing of sparkling waters and the moon has what looks to be the woman who is the generic illusionist on all like generic illusionist cards.
The blue
Whose name
illusionist.
is the bluesionist. Whose name is.
Amira Sum.
And what does that spell, Blake?
Amira stands for Mira. So she is going to be the descendant of the Ira hero, and she's going to use Ira's illusions and ancestral power to infuse her ally cards with extra oomph. But also remember the keyword mirage that was used on exactly one card called Flicker Trick. That's
No, I
also Amira. Amira Serrana. So Ira Serrana. But I think what's funny about Flicker Trick is she's fighting a ninja too. So it's like, it's right there for you.
Dang.
There's a great article by shout out to Scott Mines. He's my boy. Howling Minds on Twitter. He did on TCG Player an article kind of breaking all of this down. And just vis-a-vis the assassin situation, which obviously I'm pulling for more assassin. That would be great. But from the lore book, the art of the serpent encompasses stealth and assassination techniques.
Ooh.
Those who study the art of the serpent are all but invisible, taking down their opponents with deadly precision. The best students of the serpent can hide in plain sight, using their surroundings to their advantage, able to navigate their way through the crowd without ever being seen. So I think that maybe is a pretty good hint for assassin, but it also could be a new class.
So then the final line of this poem statement, the truth lies beyond the mist. And that's just an illusionist because the truth is LSS loves illusionists and they can't stop doing it.
Well,
LSS has
the
never missed.
the waning
Welcome
faces
to
of the
Never
moon,
Miss.
though. Are we getting a wizard? Are we getting another talented wizard?
Dude, I hope so. All right, so on that note, I mean, my hope is that we have like a single talent, and that's kind of like our, crossover draft limited thing. Because I feel like, as we said, the draconic thing with the ice hero was so kind of random. It was kind of interesting,
Hard to get
but
into.
it was like
Yeah.
it didn't feel very cohesive, even though they tried really hard to kind of pitch that storyline. So I mean, but it does seem like lately their limited sets are very much, rather than relying on generic cards to be the thing that joins the draft experience together and overlaps and makes those decisions interesting. It is these kind of other hybrid cards, the dual class cards and things like that are really interesting. So like, the one single talent, but multi-class set would be like, a pretty interesting thing, I think.
Because if there's a mist wizard and a mist illusionist, and their dual class card, dual whatever, mist cards are like, this is an aura that you can put on the field, and it gives your arcane +1 or +2 for everything you shoot off. Now that arcane damage you can do with illusionist that's only once in a while gets more powerful. Or now if you don't have the instant speed Kano hero power, now you have to build up auras as a mist wizard, and like your opponent has to clear auras or you get blown out by arcane, would I think be a cool balance that would be different enough from both Icelander and Kano.
And the very diverse play styles would fit in with the 8-pack sealed a little bit, where it's like, we don't want you to just be like, oh, I'm playing Fi because Fi. It's like, these are very like strategic archetypes that require a little more synergy, not just like, oh, this card has go again. Where like if they really are doing 4 classes that are ninja, assassin, wizard, illusionist, like those are like very specific classes that want specific things, and maybe that's a little signpost that the sealed, they need to give us more cards to let us build synergistic decks.
Well, I think also, I love those takes, fellas. I love those takes. Love it all. I also think that last line, beyond the Mistveil or whatever, is interesting because it also means we could just have an Icelander show up out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, what if Kano's just like, I'm on a journey and I'm here in this mist land, but I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it could also mean. Is like,
they're bringing like her back to life. Like,
I have a Misty. We have this Misty stuff, that's has a synergy, and then we just have a random hero that's also here.
oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like they did with Uprising. I hope not. I hope it's all. Oh, sorry, I kicked my dog a little bit.
Because
She's
have they
now
ever
leaving.
Have they ever said like, as soon as someone gets LL'd, we'll make sure to put them in the pool again within a certain time? Or was that just Prism is one of the clear fan faves, we have to keep feeding the beast? Or is there like Chain could show up sometime in the next year and it wouldn't be surprising to anybody? Well, Oldham and Briar are coming back, don't forget them. Or is that just like, no, that'll be Tales of Aria 3 coming out in November or something?
I don't think that they've confirmed that every hero will always come back, but they've said that they will bring back archetypes. So they'll bring back Shadow Runeblade. But I do think specifically with Prism and Chain, I think that they have said that both of those two will be back. Obviously Prism already is, but I don't think that they've like confirmed that like, hey, anytime a hero LLs, we'll get you a second one. But it's like, I think specifically with Prism and Chain, they said, yes, you can expect Chain to be coming back.
Because I think Viserai has to have a plan of, here's a Viserai card in every single set. it's still
Homie
not a
is
good deck.
on a journey.
He is
And
He's
he's on a
on a
journey.
journey.
He's bequesting. He's bequeathing. He's behesting.
Singing.
He's
Sonata-ing.
phantasmaing.
Yeah, and sonatas everywhere. I think one thing that I finally looked at the word what sonata meant, because I was like, what is the idea behind naming these cards this? And I think sonata is, the word was like, everyone has their own interpretation. So I thought that was a cool name for a card that you can pitch XX into, of like, it's up to you what this music sounds like or whatever. I was like, oh shit, like this is way layer than I thought. Like, that's so sick. But like, I want Viserai to, like, if there's anybody that's going to randomly show up in Mysteria of like, this is a new version of an old hero. Now his stuff makes sense. It was actually a rune blade, or like whenever you were talking about the serpent goes through the crowd and nobody knows. The only thing we haven't seen where we have the hero name, here the class name, Shapeshifter. Shapeshifter in a draft setting would be absolutely insane. Of like, is this the thing of, in the midst of this thing, the shapeshifter has a specific thing that can do whatever they want. And I don't know if every single set for the rest of our life we're going to go, oh, I wonder if there's a shapeshifter here. But this is the first time it would make sense with what's given to us in the sentences. Because assassins are spiders, in my mind, of huntsman and spider. He's part of the spiders. Blah, blah, blah. Not the
Spiders
snakes.
don't hunt though; they just sit there and wait for their food to get stuck next to them.
Yeah.
I mean, the huntsman is a
if you-
spider, though.
A type of, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck me, god damn! I'm editing this out of the podcast too.
Yeah, I've got my edit notes all written down here. Don't worry.
My take just has nothing to do with anything anybody said. It's just a separate tiny thought. Is part the Mistveil, dope name for a set.
Agreed.
Like action name rather than just heavy hitters or monarch or outsiders. You know, it reminds me of Tales of Aria. Like, there's going to be a story we tell. That was like the best part about the naming of that set, even though it randomly was
Didn't
a weird
tell any stories.
time. Yeah, told no stories, and there's just like a giant war of demons happening at some point, and they were just like, I don't know, let's get fucking hammered at this tavern together and become best friends. Which I like that energy, but just timing wise, you know, was.
And if it's bad, you can call it Shart the Mistveil.
I like how Blake kept calling it Tales of Mistveil. Like, that's what we're gonna call it if it has any implications that it's feeling like Tales of Aria of being a little loose and overpowered, but we'll see. No, part the Mistveil, good name. I agree. It's given journey, you know, like we're going somewhere unknown and exciting. So hopefully that is represented in the cards and the play style.
And I think at least 4 designers at the end of the year Twitter, I mentioned this, I don't know if it was in the art draft, but there was something where they were like, what are you most excited about in your Flesh and Blood for 2023? And all of them said that I was a part of ? Set. And we're all taking that as the all arcane set, which I think could be this, but not if it's ninja. So maybe it's still, it's the next one. But everyone's super hyped on heavy hitters and having a blast right now. But all of the people were like, well, wait till the next one. It's even better. And that's the thing where you're like, holy crap. Like, if we have 2 bangers back to back, then we can expand, grow. Japan hits. All our cards, triple in value. There's 15 people more at your armory. And then it's like, oh crap, now there's twice as many, what are they called, callings and battle hardens around because there's such a thing. And it's like, now I feel like, holy shit, we got over the hump and now we're like running for everyone.
If there's an assassin in this set, I'm so psyched.
A mist
I'm so
assassin?
psyched.
They got to get it right eventually, right?
Dude,
Third young
I'm telling.
Arachne.
Okay, the third young Arachne, Misty confinement. I don't know. I
Arachne
should do.
weepy motherfucker.
Yeah, totally. Arachne been in solitary confinement so long is now sad.
Arachne web weaver.
Arachne seasonal depression.
I should do some more Arachne content. I really should do the deck. He's like
We're gonna do
he's
that.
like inches away of being in a conversation. You know what I mean?
I went 2
people
armories
have
with him, bro.
Yeah,
You gotta
the people
keep
have
up.
spoken and they want an update. And by the people, I mean that one guy on YouTube who's like, "You gotta update this deck." Like,
Oh, sick! I didn't see that comment.
doing it for him.
Graven Call could be a hint of what we will be seeing out of this set.
No.
So a lot of the cards with Amara or Misty Katsu are dealing in death. So what if, like Katsu's story, right, is there's this terrible disease and all of his people are dying and he has to go wander around and figure out how to cure this disease. So let's say Katsu comes back. Everybody's dead from this disease. He's been gone too long and it's just a ghost frickin' town. And so now we get to play with our graveyard, and that has to do with the talent. His stuff is coming out of the graveyard because Graven Call, etc. See, I'm putting
It's
some
got-
stuff together. Are you with
Got
me
Misty
here?
art on, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with it.
What if
Okay,
Katsu's
okay.
kind of like the Aang figure from Avatar? Because we've clearly gotten
Oh my
like
God.
Avatar references with like Fi and Zuko being kind of on the same vein, and
Yeah.
Jomai and Azula
Yeah.
being on the same vein. What if Katsu's kind of the Aang, where like his people are all killed, and that's why it's like ancestral empowerment. Like he's like calling
Mm-hmm.
upon this like race of people that are no longer like were extinguished for some reason. That'd be something.
Because
That
Benji left too. He was supposed to stay there and hold it down, but he left, so everyone died.
I just
I-
still think Benji has a dog because in his card where there's a dog, but it's
Wander
clearly
with
maybe
purpose.
it's maybe not actually his dog, but now I can't not think of him as not also being on a journey with that dog. Just
Yeah.
saying.
One
Anyway,
thing
go ahead, Blake.
about
Companion.
Amira, I'm trying to guess Amira's hero power because I feel like Amira is the most. This is going to happen because who knows what a new ninja hero power would look like? But a new illusionist hero power that's going to be blue focused. How do you not make that completely busted? Because all the illusionist stuff is kind of expensive, but you got to pitch reds to keep my dragons to go. You got to pitch yellows to keep my angels going. So what does a blue one look like? And I'm thinking like her hero power could do arcane as a focus of like if this gets popped by phantasm or if my wards, because there's the kimono, there's the diadem, every time a ward pops,
Wave of
I can
reality.
do arcane to you. And if I have an instant thing, now I'm going to make it triple the arcane damage. And like is this a good time to attack? And maybe now there's some version of her where it's like, I don't want to attack into this because it's worse for me to attack. I'm going to wait until I have more blues in hand. And then there's like a half Kano layer and a half like, oh, it's really good to pop, but I'm still going to take an arcane every time I pop. And the ghostly touch is getting bigger. And then there's the Frightmare. Like I'm also going to take 15 damage from Frightmare now because I didn't block the arcane.
Frightmare.
Like I'm excited for a arcane focused illusionist would be, I think, a flavor that I would eat up and would be way different than the other two.
Everyone would love it. Combine everyone's favorite mechanics, Spectra and arcane damage.
Let's go. Tweet at me, baby.
Dude, if Frightmare is good or playable, that would be fucking sick. Do you guys remember what Frightmare does? It's like so unplayable, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You can only play it if an illusionist attack action card you've controlled has been destroyed by Phantasm.
Yeah. And then
I'll
it costs
argue-
3.
That card
Yeah,
is playable
for
if it
13.
blocks. That card is playable if it blocks, like fringe playable.
Yeah.
Oh, I would keep it in my
Yeah.
arsenal the whole game. So that one, you only have one popper in hand.
Dude,
You can dream
Here we
Weaver
go.
Put this,
because it doesn't have.
I'm going to put this in my Prism deck for Sunday.
So you could pop
Yes,
it.
put it
you
in.
get popped. Dreamweavers, Frightmare, bang. You're
The
back
other
in.
card that hasn't had
Yeah,
much
why
love
is it not playable in Prism right now? It kind of could
Doesn't
be,
block.
right? Like
red doesn't block. Red doesn't block. That's real
yeah,
bad.
but your play pattern so often is Herald, popped, pay for footsteps, attack with an angel,
Not
have a
really.
follow up,
Nah.
Frightmare for 13.
Frightmare in now.
Put it in. I'm cooking right now.
Heard it
Because
here.
even if
You're
it doesn't
supposed to
hit.
say.
Yeah.
You're supposed
The
to say
recipe
yes,
book
chef.
is upside down. That was my favorite thing I
Behind.
saw.
If it blocked.
Yes, chef. That's what I want to hear.
Shut the fuck up, cousin.
What was
right.
that? What was that meme? What's his face saying yes, chef isn't porn, but it also is not porn. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think I do.
No, chef.
Oh,
I do
okay.
not.
Did we all not watch The Bear? What's going on here?
I'm saving it for a rainy year where all the good TV shows are done or whatever.
I think this
It's-
button here lets me remove Blake from the call.
It's
That's a
stressful.
good
So
show.
if you don't like watching stuff that stresses you out, then
But
don't
it's
watch it.
funny. It's not just like stressful.
He won for
And
a
then you
comedy, lead actor in a comedy, which is crazy.
That part,
You
yeah. I
didn't-
mean, the Golden
you don't
Globes are
wanna-
broken. We don't need to go into that.
You don't want to compete with Succession. That's why it
Yeah.
was a
No.
comedy.
That was the show I was watching. Was Succession.
Yeah.
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 No,
That one is more stressful.
rich white people, no thank you.
Yeah.
I've had enough.
I
Had
get enough of that at home.
We see your play mats back there. We know.
Yeah, baby. Check those out.
By the way, is this the time where we mention, hey, I had an idea and I haven't talked this through, so maybe this gets edited out. But bring the play mats you don't want to the hype house, and maybe there's a playmat swap or playmat bet, like put up an ante of a playmat you don't want,
That's hype.
or I've always wanted this one, but I wasn't around for that time of the year, and now you're either taking, well, I don't care either way, I'll take your mat that you don't want.
Perfect. Love that. Like a clothing exchange. Beautiful.
Mat
Canon.
swap.
It's canon. Mat swap.
Let's do it.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
put
Well,
it in
that was
Discord
part the
right now.
Mistveil. So get hype
Sponsored
now.
by Playmat Swap.
Yeah, sponsored by the Hype House Playmat Swap. TM. Patent pending. Let's go. All right. Are we
Let's
going to do
go.
this signature segment, or are we going to mosey on to
Sure.
ending the podcast?
Sure.
All right. Well, we're going to try it out, a new signature segment. We cooked this one up, moments before hitting record, or maybe even moments after hitting record. And I guess for now, this time we're calling it Poundtown with Blake. So welcome to Poundtown with Blake.
Come
Blake,
on,
take it away.
everybody. All right. Come on, choo. Headed to Poundtown. Hi, I'm Blake. This is Poundtown with Blake. Just one thing that we saw on Twitter that we want to take into Poundtown on. Somebody is starting a Patreon that will remain unnamed. They started a Patreon, but they only have one thing on their Patreon, and that is their deck list that did not quite win an RTN, but maybe it got close to winning an RTN. You can see their deck list if you pay $10, but it did not win an RTN. It did not win a Battle Hardened. It did not win a Colin. It did not win a Pro Tour. It did not win a National Championship. It did not win a World Championship, but it is available for $10. But however, if they do win an RTN or any of those things, it will be available free on the Fab TCG website. And we just want to call attention to that. That seems like a very bad business model and a very bad value for customers. Try to avoid that.
Yeah, this is our new consumer section of the podcast.
I just think it's
Blake's-
really dumb. I just think it's really
Blake's
dumb. I just think it's
Looking
really
out
dumb.
for you. And that's why you took it to Poundtown. So
Come
Come
on,
on,
everybody. All right.
choo choo.
Okay.
Part of this segment is that we come up with a different name for it using a brute card. And that means, Blake, you're also going to have to come up with a different theme song
That's easy. Yeah.
that goes with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a
perfect.
big musicality guy.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll see
Try
how
to
long
keep
we
Blake
can make this
from
last.
singing. I think that's the
Reinar
hardest
is
thing.
like music, and Ninja is like math. And I'd rather have music and a sonata of my own of when I draw 2 cards off Blood Rush. If that's a red and a red, it's dissonant harmony. But I have to figure out what I can do to do them. But when those blues come out and it sings and maybe there's a second melody of a second Blood Rush coming in, that's when the music really pops and you can just move forward. I said all this to James White at San Jose, and it was just... Everyone has made fun of Reinhard is music.
It was the meme of that guy holding that woman's neck while he like aggressively explained something to her.
No,
That was
it's
you and
her
James
who's
White.
holding him like.
Please stop
No,
talking to me,
right?
Blake.
Oh, different meme.
please.
Different meme.
Different meme. Different meme. That's funny. I
loved
went on a journey there. I got hard, and then it went on too long, and I got soft again.
Great.
I don't know. We went to Poundtown.
Oh, yeah.
I'm editing that out of
Sheesh.
Your
Fuck, I
guys'
should have
faces
wrote these down.
was the funny part.
Great.
Good thing we have
Just like
video recording now.
yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well,
Is that our episode? Did we do it?
that's our episode, everybody. Thank you for being here. What a journey we went on. I'm very excited to have you both, Zayne and Blake, join us. I think you're bringing the energy, you're bringing the insights, you're bringing the musical knowledge, the math. You know, I mean, it's great we got a music guy and a math guy. Like, this is just, we're diversifying. I mean, I'm also kind of a music guy, but man, I totally missed the sonata thing, which that was a good, I like that.
Totally.
That's good. Blake.
That's a good find.
2 beard guys. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we we replaced Isaac. We got a ranger player and a brute player. We just split them into 2 people with wildly different personalities. All right. Well, that was our episode. Thanks, everybody. Please like and subscribe again. And we'll catch you on the next one. If you didn't see our latest reaction step, the Heavy Hitters art draft just went up last week. That was a lot of fun. Same, colorful cast of characters right here.
Did anybody win that?
Picking the best one. Greg said I won, so that's all I know.
Somebody else said I won. That's all I know.
Cast his
Nobody has
vote
said
publicly.
Blake or Zayne won, though. We've had no feedback.
Nonsense. I've been texted by many individuals.
My
You'd
mom
have to see.
my mom
have
texted
to-
me and said she
you have
voted
to-
for Colin.
Direct them to the YouTube. Or you got to screenshot them text messages, bro.
She was like, I don't know who he is or what he said, but I voted for him.
You know, my mom and her boyfriend listen to the beginning of every episode. And then they're like, as soon as you guys get into Flesh and Blood, it's like too much for us. But we
They just want
love
to hear about your life updates.
Yes, totally. They're like, that's how we know what's going on with you.
I should tell my mom to listen
Aw.
to that.
Yeah, boost our numbers. Get your family to listen.
Dude, then I got to explain to her how to listen to a podcast.
It's on YouTube, though. She knows how to YouTube, right?
Yeah, she doesn't know how to.
No, I don't think she does.
All right. Well, then you have a bigger issue.
Then you have some work to do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's your journey to go on.
I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.
See you in the next time.
Come on, everybody.
Do, 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 do.